Alright guys, my name is Nick. We're going to go over a couple sensors on this truck over here and explain what they do and what their main functions are and their locations. First we're going to go over oil temperature and oil pressure. We have our LED light down here trying to show you. They're tucked in there pretty tight. So back here we'll have our oil temperature. It's a 2-wire sensor. So most 2-wire sensors are considered just automatic feedback. That's what most temperatures are. When they have a signal wire, most of the time they're a pressure sensor, which would be the one right next to it. So we're going to use our oil temperature to tell us how hot the oil is and report it to the ECM. Because if the oil gets too hot, we'll have overheating issues on our engine, and we'll have internal engine damage on our internal components. Oil pressure, we need good oil pressure. We don't give, a lot of people don't know that oil actually protects, not just only lubricates, but cools the engine as well. So we have our sensor there to tell us that if our oil pressure is too low, the oil pump is not acting as it should, and we shouldn't keep on operating the vehicle. Alrighty, after those two sensors, we're going to go over to our coolant level temp. The sensor sits right on the side of the reservoir right there. The point of that is if you always maintain your vehicle, is to A, let you know some of it, if you have lost some of this through normal usage, you need to pop it off, or B, there's a leak somewhere in the cooling system. It might be a hose or it might be the radiator, but it just lets you identify that there's a leak, so you don't overheat your vehicle again. Obviously, there wouldn't be a leak through the ports. It's an iron block. It's very unlikely for it to be there. So you want to check major components like water pumps, hoses, and the radiator.
Go.
Alright, now we're going to go over some sensors on this Ford F-250. So, pretty generic. Most vehicles will have a mass airflow sensor. It will be right underneath this air box. This mass airflow sensor basically detects how much air we have. Reports to the ECM, allows proper injection of the fuel system, so we have good bang in our motor. So after that, we're going to go over a crankshaft positioning sensor. Okay, so now we're going to go over the two sensors on this Ford F-250. So we're going to go over some basic ones. So underneath our air box, we'll have our mass airflow sensor right under there, and what that will let the ECM know is how much airflow is coming into the engine and into the intake to allow it to compensate with fuel, so we get our air-fuel ratio right. After that, we're going to go to our crank positioning sensor. This will be right there, and there will be a 2-wire sensor attaching right over there. And as you can see, that will let you know what the position of the crank is at a given time, because when the vehicle turns off, it's not going to turn off in top to center each time, and timing's not always going to be perfect. So that allows the ECM to know where the valves are at, if they're open or closed, or they're overlapping, and allows prior firing order in our engine. Go ahead. Alright, now we're going to go over our crank positioning sensor. We just went over the camshaft positioning sensor earlier. It will be behind our idler pulley, and this wire right here leads right back to it. Unfortunately, we can't show you all the way back there, but this wire leads about 6 inches into it, and that's going to let us know where our positions are, of our pistons are at, which piston is at top dead center, and it's going to not crank the motor up if we're out of time. So that also helps our firing order. And now we're going to move on to the next truck.
Airflow. Go.
Okay, so now we're going to go over some of the sensors on this 444E on this 1997 International. So the first sensor we're going to hit is our fuel pressure sensor. So this is going to allow the ECM to know there's optimal fuel pressure going to the injectors. So we know our pump is working properly, and we have no misfires due to less fuel or not having enough fuel for a compression to occur. Next, we're going to hit the one right next to it, attached to this, attached to the. This is attached to the high pressure oil pump, and this is the oil temperature. This is going to allow our ECM to know if our oil temp is too high. Maybe we're not using the right viscosity of oil, or our oil pump is not working properly, causing too much temperature to go too high up. Speaking of pressure, we'll have our pressure sensor right on top of this high pressure oil pump, and that's going to allow the ECM to know if this oil pressure pump, high oil pressure pump, is working properly. So it's pumping out the right amount of oil, and it's suctioning it off the oil pan as it should, and shooting it right into the pistons to cool them down and lubricate them for optimal combustion. So once we know our pressure is good and our temperature is good on our oil, we know our oil system is working properly, and our fuel, this is more for the fuel system. So if this reads fine within the parameters of the ECM, our fuel system is doing well.
Like I'm getting just on. Go.
Alright, so now we're going to move on to our Freightliner with the C13 Caterpillar motor. We're going to go over some of the sensors here. So to begin with, we'll go to the one close to you guys. We'll go to our intake pressure. This sensor makes sure that the intake air pressure is proper. Make sure there's enough airflow going into the engine for combustion to occur. It also verifies that the boost is working correctly, and there's no blockage in our piping somewhere that we need to worry about. Other than that, we have our boost pressure gauge. I mean, not the gauge, but this is the boost pressure sensor. So what the sensor will read is basically if there's enough suction occurring on the exhaust manifold from our turbo, and our turbo is compressing enough air and causing fresh air to come into through the intake. So this actually makes sure our turbo works fine and there's enough boost pressure for compression to occur. Now we're going to move on to our crank positioning sensor right under here. This will be cam, not crank. Sorry about that. So our cam positioning sensor will allow the ECM to know on which firing order and which valves are open and closed. This will ensure that the ECM injects to the cylinder it's supposed to until the correct firing order occurs, and it doesn't shoot fuel where fuel is not supposed to be at that time